Hello students, we have seen section and midpoint formula. So let us start solving questions which are based on section and midpoint formula. So this is our first question. What do they ask? Find the coordinates of the point which divides the line segment joining here 4 comma minus 3 and 8 comma 5 in the ratio 3 is to 1, right? So the points are given here. So let us first always draw the line segment here so it's easy to read the coordinates. So this is my line segment. If I take here points as AB, so what are those points here? 4 comma minus 3 and B coordinates are 8 comma 5, right? So this is the line segment. Now there is a point, right? There is a point P, if I take it, which is dividing this ratio A B line segment in the ratio of 3 is to 1. So 3 is to 1, if I take point P here, then here I can write down 3, here I can write down 1, because what is this? P is dividing AP into 3 is to 1 ratio. P is dividing AB into 3 is to 1 ratio. So how will we start? You know that because its dividing ratio is given. So first let us start with section formula. Right, so section formula we use to find out the coordinates of P, right? Now what is going to be the coordinates of P? If I write on here X and Y, that means X and Y is the coordinates of P. So let P coordinates be X comma Y. Now what is the section formula here? So a section formula says M1 X2 plus M2 X1 by sum of the ratio, which is M1 plus M2, comma, so this is the whole is your x coordinate. P x coordinate will be this whole, right? Then what is the y coordinate of P? M1 y2 plus M2 y1 by sum of the ratio, which is M1 plus M2. So your y coordinate of P is going to be M1 y2 plus M2 y1 by M1 plus M2. Now how are we going to take it here? If you see this, so P of here x coordinate and y coordinate, let us start substituting here values, right? So what is your m1 value here? If you see the first ratio, what is the first ratio? This is your m1, this is your m2. Now x and y, I can take this as x1 comma y1, and here the second coordinates as x2 comma y2. Now whenever you do this, how to more than this formula, you remember first ratio will get multiplied with the second x coordinate like this, and here the second ratio will get multiplied with the first coordinate. So how will I write down here? 3 times 8, right, which is the x2, m1 x2 plus 1 times 4. So I have multiplied m1, m2 with x1 and x2 by 3 plus 1, because m1 plus m2. Similarly here again I'll take it here. It's easy to remember more than formula. Just remember you multiply in cross. So 3 into y coordinate. See, look at here, 3 into y coordinate and then 1 into y coordinate. Right? So it's a cross. So 3 times 5 plus 1 time here minus 3 by 3 plus 1. So your x coordinate is going to be the first value and the y coordinate is going to be the second value. Now do the further simplification here. P coordinates are, or P of x comma y is going to be here 8 threes are 24 plus 4 by 4 comma 15 minus 3 by 4. Of P, what is the coordinates of P here? X and Y. If I take it here, 24 plus 4 is going to be 28 by 4, comma 15 minus 3 will be 12 by 4. So what are the coordinates here? If you will see, we are getting here 7 comma 3. Now in this question, see, in the first question the ratio was given. Here what ratio? See here, what ratio? That means we need to find out here m1 is to m2 we don't know, right? This is question mark. Does the point minus 4 comma 6, that means this point which is dividing the line segment, in the above question it was P, right? The point is given, divides the line segment joining points A and B, right? You need to find out here. So let us first draw, you will understand what do we need to find out here. I'm taking a line segment here, AB, right? So A and B, A coordinates are given as minus 6 comma 10 and B coordinates are 3 comma minus 8, right? Now P is also given because the point P which is dividing AB into some ratio is minus 4 comma 6. We do not have this AP is to PB is unknown, right? So I don't know here AP is to PB is to find, right? This is to find in this question. Your finding is this. Now remember here, because if I take M1, M2, there will be two unknown and we'll have one equation. So whenever the ratio is missing, you can take here, let ratio of AP to PB B K is to 1. So remember, we don't take M1 is to M2, right? Because here M1 is to M2 can be taken as M1 by M2 equals to K. So whatever you are getting it, later on you will see most of the time you get the K value as the fractional value and you can get M1 is to M2. So I'll write down here K and I'll write down here 1, right? Now your ratio is given as K is to 1. So again, because ratios are given and points are known, so what can I use here? Section formula. So let us take here first section formula. What is your section formula? So section formula is equals to the x coordinate is m1 x2 plus m2 x1 by m1 plus m2. Keep writing for every question the formula so that it comes in your muscle memory. You should not forget any of the formulas, whichever formula you are learning for any of the chapter, right? Now what we will write down here, the section formula, this is for point P. So I can take it here, P coordinates which is minus 4 comma 6 is equals to, now again you will do the cross multiplication, m1 into x2 and then here m2 into x1, right? Similarly here m1 into y2 plus m2 into y1, right? So this is the easier way to remember. So let us take here k into 3, that will be 3k, then k into plus 1 times minus 6 will be minus 6 by k plus 1, comma here after this then minus 8k, then 1 into 10 will be plus 10 by k plus 1. Right, so this one can be written as here, or which is minus 4 comma 6, which is 3k minus 6 by k plus 1 comma minus 8k plus 10 by k plus 1. Right, now you can see that here the left hand side and right hand side, the values if you compare, if I compare either this or this, I can get the value of k, right? So first, what can I take it here? Take here, what can we take here? 3k minus 6 by k plus 1 is equals to minus 4, or you can take here minus 8k plus 10 by k plus 1, which is going to be equal to 6. Now to cross check, you can solve both the if you solve any of the equation, your value of k is going to be same. Right, now here it's a binomial, I put it the bracket, so 3k minus 6 equals to minus 4 times k plus 1. If you simplify the bracket, 3k minus 6 is equals to minus 4k minus 4. Now get minus 4k to left hand side. What are you going to get it here? 3k plus 4k equals to minus 4 plus 6, which is 7k is equals to 2 and k is 2 by 7. Now if k is 2 by 7, k is to 1 is going to be 2 by 7 is to 1, which is you need to multiply both the terms 7 to get rid of the denominator. So I'll get it here. Not See, if I multiply here 7, the first term 7 and 7 will get cancelled, right? This 7 gets cancelled. So you'll be left with 2 is to 7. We don't write out ratio in the fractional form. Now let us cross verify. See, if you are solving any one, you will get the ratio. But I want to cross check my answer. So let me solve here the second part also. Let us see whether the answers are same or not. So minus 8k plus 10 is equals to 6 times k plus 1, which is minus 8k plus 10 is equals to 6k plus 6. Now here 10 minus 6, I am taking minus 8k to RHS so that I'll not have k negative. So this is 4 equals to 14k, right? So 4 by 14 is equals to k, which is 2 by 7. See, here also you are getting 2 by 7. Remember one more thing to verify your answer. In case if you are getting this ratio as negative value, then you need to cross check your calculation, because again the ratio can never be negative. So what is, at what ratio point P is dividing AB into which ratio? There it is dividing into 2:7 ratio. So therefore you can conclude your answer, P divides AB into 2:7, or this means AP is to PB is going to be 2:7, right? So this is your answer. This is another type of question. In first question the ratio was given, you were finding there the ratio was given, you are finding the coordinates of P. In the second question, coordinates of P were given and you were finding the ratio, right? Now let us see here the third question. Next question. Here, what is our next question? If we take it here, find the coordinates of the point of trisection of the line segment. Now, why am I taking here trisection? Here, this kind of question, it's important because the ratio is not given. What is the meaning of trisection? Dividing into three equal parts. So, a line segment dividing into three equal parts where A and B it's given, right? The line endpoints are A and B, correct? So let us first draw a line segment AB with endpoint coordinates as this is line segment AB, right? If you draw, you will understand what you need to do. Otherwise, it's difficult to solve the coordinate geometry question. So what do I need to find out? Point of the coordinates, the coordinates of the points of trisection of the line segment. So first let us trisect this line segment here. So three equal parts. So if this point is P, this point is Q, right? Joining the line segment this. I need to find out the coordinates of P and Q. How will you do it here? P and Q are not midpoint because it's a three equal parts. So first I should know here AP is equals to PQ is equals to QB, right? So what is the ratio here? AP is to PQ is to QB. Three equal parts here, QB will be equals to 1:1:1. But I can't take it here because I can't consider in section formula all these 3 points together. So if I consider AP is to PB. Can you see that? So this is one part, this is two part, right? I can take the ratio as AP is to PB is equals to 1:2. So the moment I get a ratio, so first in the first part, you will not consider Q. You are just going to find out the coordinates of P. Now again, section formula. What is the section formula you'll use? We have the ratio. I can find out the coordinates of P using section formula. What is section formula? If you know the ratio m1x2 plus m2x1 by m1 plus m2 comma, so this is the x coordinate, m1 y2 plus m2 y1 by m1 plus m2. So this formula again we'll use here. So what are we going to get it here? Coordinates of P will be equals to, what is your M1 here? This one can be M1 and this one can be M2. So you'll take here 1 times minus 7 plus 2 times 2, right here, by 1 plus 2. This is the x coordinate. Then M1 Y2, which is 1 into 4 plus M2 Y1, which is 2 times minus 2 by 1 plus 2, right? This is x and y coordinates. So let us find out here what are going to be the coordinates of P. So here it will be minus 7 plus 4 by 3, comma 4 minus 4 by 3, right? Because 2 times minus 2 will be minus 4. And if I do further simplification, this one will become minus 3 by 3, comma 0 by 3. So what are the coordinates of P here? It is minus 1, comma 0. We got the coordinates of P. Right, so let us take it here. The coordinates of P, you got it as minus 1 comma 0. Now after this you need to find out the coordinates of Q. How are we going to find out the coordinates of Q? In this case, there are two ways to calculate to find out the coordinates of Q. If you will see, Q is the midpoint of PB, right? There are two ways. I'll tell you both the ways. In whichever method you want to follow, you can do it here. Let me first take the figure so I can refer it. Right, now here there are two ways. The first one here, Q is the midpoint of, because midpoint formula is very simple, right? Midpoint of PB. Why is it midpoint? Because PQ is to QB is 1 is to 1. They both are the equal length, right? So that is why you can use midpoint formula, or you can take here, this is the first method, right? Or what I can take here, because I know the endpoint coordinate, so I can take AQ is to QB. Now A to Q, it's a two part, so it will be 2 is to 1. So here you use midpoint formula, here you can use section formula. Now section formula I have already used above, so I will be using here midpoint formula. So you write down here, since you must mention, okay, Q is the midpoint of PB. What are going to be the coordinates of Q? What is the midpoint formula? Let us, before finding coordinates, let us write down midpoint formula here. So what is the midpoint formula? If I take midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 by 2, that is the x coordinate, comma y1 plus y2 by 2, right? So here midpoint formula is x1 plus x2. Why do we have it? Because here, if you see your M1 here in the section formula, actually your M1, M2 is 1 is to 1. So this becomes 1. So x2 plus x1 and 1 plus 1 will be 2. So we have derived midpoint formula from section formula only. So by 2 and y1 plus y2 by 2. Right? So how to get the coordinates of Q? So you will write down here coordinates of Q will be equals to minus 1 plus minus 7 by 2, comma, then what is the other coordinate of y coordinate of P? 0 plus 4 by 2, right? Now what are going to be the coordinates of Q here? Minus 8 by 2, comma 4 by 2, which is nothing but minus 4 comma 2. So we got the coordinates of P and Q when the line segment was getting trisected by P and Q, right? So therefore P is, what are the coordinates of P? Did we get it here? Minus 1 comma 0, and Q coordinates are minus 4 comma 2. This is your final answer. So you can cross check your question. They were telling you to find out the coordinates of these 2 points. Right? You got this. This is the another. So here in this question you are using section formula as well as midpoint formula. Right? Let us go for the next question. So we are taking here question number 4. Question number 4, what is the statement here? Find the ratio in which the y-axis divides the line segment joining these 2 points. Also find the point of intersection. Now this is another question. First let us start by drawing the line segment. So what is the line segment? If I take AB is the line segment, right? So if I take here line segment AB. Now what are the points, endpoints, coordinates here of line segment? It is 5 comma minus 6, and here it's given minus 4 comma minus 1 comma minus 4. Now find the ratio. That means again ratio is missing. So I'll take case to 1 in which y-axis divides the line segment. That means the point, generally the point divides it. So that point falls on y-axis. So point P, if it falls on y-axis, now y-axis means what is going to be the x coordinate? It's always 0 and y coordinate will be y. So you should know the coordinates of P will be in the form of 0 comma y because it's given this point. There is a line, right? So line means it's going to be the line. Now both are intersecting at P. So what will be the coordinates of P? 0 comma y. Now P divides this because ratio is missing. So let the ratio be k is to 1. You don't take m1 is to m2. Ratio be k is to 1, right? And the coordinates of p is going to be 0 comma y. Let us see here. Now there are two missing values, correct? So how are we going to solve it? We know that. We know the ratio. So first let us start with the section formula. What is the section formula? You know, section formula. Now section formula x coordinate is m1 x2 plus m2 x1 by m1 plus m2 comma m1 y2 plus m2 y1 by m1 plus m2. Now this is the section formula. How are we going to use it? Let us see. So here we are finding here coordinates of P using section formula. Coordinates of P which is 0 comma y is equals to here. What are we going to take it here? Again remember we always take here cross multiplication, right? Because m1 x2 then again y2 and then with y2. So how are we going to take it here? K into minus 1 will be minus k plus 1 into 5 will be 5 by k plus 1, right? This is k plus 1, comma, again k into y2 because m1 y2. So it will be minus 4k plus 1 into minus 6 will be minus 6 by k plus 1. So if I write down here, that means P coordinates which is 0 comma y is equals to here minus k plus 5 by k plus 1 comma minus 4k minus 6 by k plus 1, right? Now again because one of the coordinate, if you will see in these, because there are two unknown value with one equation. So let us do the comparison. You will see one of the coordinates must be 0 or known, then we can get the value of k. So let us do the comparison here. If I do the comparison, it will be minus k plus 5 by k plus 1 is equals to 0. Now this whole will go transpose to the right hand side, will become multiplier. So minus 5 minus k plus 5, 0 times anything is 0. That means k is 5. You got here k is 5. Now after that, compare the second one here y coordinates to get the value of y. Y equals to minus 4k minus 6 by k plus 1. Now you are already having the value of k. So I can substitute here k value minus 4 times 5 minus 6 by 5 plus 1. If you simplify this, minus 20 minus 6 by 6. Right? So what are we getting here? Minus 26 by 6, which is minus 13 by 3. So what is the coordinates of y? It is minus 13 by 3. Then what is going to be the ratio here? Because you did not get the ratio. What should be written here? Because ratio is k is to 1, right? And now if you see, k value is not in fractional form. So here k is to 1 will be equals to 5 is to 1, right? And the coordinates of P, right? And the coordinates of the point, right? Which is the part of the line which is dividing this line segment into k is to 1 ratio. See the y-axis, divide this line segment into, this is your y-axis, into k is to 1 ratio. So what is going to be the coordinates of P? It is nothing but 0 comma minus 13 by 3. So here you are finding ratio as well as coordinates, right? So by using the given value. So here also again section formula. And after that, let us take the next question. And this kind of question also you will not find out in your textbook. But let us see how do we solve, right? Let me take the next question, question number 5, right? What does it say here? If two adjacent vertices of a parallelogram. Now first type of parallelogram question you have done it using distance formula, where you were finding whether it's a which kind of quadrilateral it is, parallelogram or rectangle or rhombus or square. But here what they are saying here, two adjacent vertices. Adjacent vertices means it will be AB, PQ. So adjacent means next to each other, AB, right? Anything, BC or CD or AD, any two. I am taking it as A and B. And the diagonals intersect at 2 comma minus 5. So let us first draw the figure so it's easy to understand what they are asking. So if I try to draw a parallelogram. Parallelogram, what are the parallelogram properties? Opposite sides are equal and the diagonals bisect each other. But we are not going to use here. The common mistake kids, they do it here. They use distance formula. Remember distance formula, there will be two unknown, we won't be able to find out, right? So here if I write down A, B, here C, D. What are the coordinates of A? 3, comma 2. Here it is minus 1, comma 0. And the diagonals, so let us draw the diagonals also. If I draw diagonals BD, right? And what is the other diagonal if I take it? It is AC, right? So where do they intersect at O, and the coordinates of O are my 2 comma minus 5, right? So coordinates of A is 3 comma 2, coordinates of B is minus 1 comma 0, coordinates of O is 2 comma minus 5. You need to find out the coordinates of other two vertices. So I don't have here the coordinates of C, so let coordinates of CB x1 comma y1, right? So I can write down here x1 comma y1, and the coordinates of DB, here B x2 comma y2, right? So mention here x2 comma y2. Now if you will try to use distance formula, because you always remember, okay, this is a parallelogram, I can use distance formula. But if you will see, there are 4 unknown values, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we won't be able to do it. So what we will do it here, now you know that since diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other, right? Bisect each other. That means bisection means it is the midpoint. Therefore, O is the midpoint of AC, midpoint of AC and BD. Now we are not going to use here distance formula, we are going to use here midpoint formula. So you know that this is equals to this side is equals to this, OA is equals to OC, right? So what can I use here? Midpoint of AC. So what will be the coordinate of O? It is going to be, you are going to use here midpoint formula. What is the midpoint formula? x1 plus x2 by 2 comma y1 plus y2 by 2, right? So first let us take here coordinates of C. So here if I consider AC, what is going to be the coordinates of O? Coordinates of O will be, which is 2 comma minus 5, and take the endpoints of AC because you are taking AC, so x1 y1 x2 y2 you can take it here. Can I write down here x1 plus 3 by 2, because here if you will see the endpoints coordinates you are going to take it as x1 y1, right? By x1 plus x2 by 2 and then y1 plus y2 by 2, right? So let me take here and then it will be y1 plus 2 by 2. Again, you have both side coordinates. You are going to do the comparison here. X coordinate will get compared with x and y will be y. So x1 plus 3 by 2 equals to 2. And here if you'll take y1 plus 2 by 2 equals to minus 5. So what are we going to get it here? Transpose x1 plus 3 is 2 2s are 4. So x1 coordinate is going to be 1. Similarly, if I transpose 2 to the right side, it will be y1 plus 2 equals to minus 10. Divisor becomes multiplier. Y1 will be minus 10 minus 2. So y1 value is going to be minus 12. So what are your coordinates of C? So you are getting the coordinates of C as 1 comma minus 12. Right, after that what I'm going to find out using BD, you will find out the coordinates of x2 y2. Now again you can take it here coordinates of O, because the O is the midpoint of coordinates. O is the midpoint of BD also. O, which is 2 comma minus 5, but now I'm taking the endpoints as B and D, right? So here you can take here minus 1 plus x2, or I can write down as x2 plus minus 1 by 2, which is the x coordinate, comma, then y2 plus 0 by 2, correct? So this is y2 plus 0 by 2. Again, you will do the comparison here. Both side 2 comma minus 5 is equals to x2 minus 1 by 2 comma y2 by 2, because adding 0 to anything will be 0. Now compare x coordinate with x coordinate, y coordinate with y coordinate. You will get x2 minus 1 by 2 equals to 2. So x2 minus 1 equals to 2 2s are 4. So x2 coordinates is going to be 5, right? After that, let us get the y2 coordinate also. Y2 by 2 equals to minus 5. So what is going to be the coordinates of y2? Minus 10. So what are going to be your coordinates of D? It is going to be x coordinate. This is D, which is going to be 5 comma minus 10. So therefore, the remaining two vertices C is with 1 comma minus 12 coordinates, and D is going to be 5 comma minus 10 coordinates. So whenever there is a parallelogram other than distance formula, you must remember that you can use here midpoint formula also, right? Whenever any coordinates are missing, then you use midpoint formula. If you need to check which kind of quadrilateral is that, then you use the distance formula.
Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Also, keep practicing.